Okay, guys, go ahead.
Quickly we've talked about, obviously, he had a huge game against your Saints back in 2023.
Thank you.
Yes. It was a prime time game. What do you remember about that game, if you'd like to, if the trauma's not too much? And what are a couple of traits about him
Yeah.
stand out?
Yeah. Well, it was my first time playing against him, and obviously you come away from there thoroughly impressed. I mean, he runs as fast as he needs to get the job done. He's big, he's physical. Um, he catches everything that's remotely close to him, so he's got great ball skills, and he's tremendous, with the run after the catch. And so I just think he does everything that you want a receiver to be able to do. He runs good routes, he gets open, makes contested catches, really good run after the catch. So he's an outstanding player.
When you say he runs as fast as he needs to, does that mean he's good at varying his speed?
Well, I just think, if you go back to, whatever his 40 time comes out as, it may not look all that impressive in terms of what his time speed is. You watch the guy play, he plays extremely fast. And so don't let that fool you.
As a technician, what does Devontae Adams do that you guys need to be aware of?
He's a savvy, veteran player. Again, another guy that runs really, really good routes. I think when you look at their passing game and what they do in their passing game, the receivers and the quarterback are exactly on point with where the ball's going to be. And the quarterback throws the ball to where the spot is, where he's anticipating the receiver to be, and generally they're in that spot. And so I think that's what makes him really good, in the passing game.
Going up against an offense that is that precise, what does that stress for you guys in terms of what you need to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, being able to affect the quarterback, and make him have to throw, off rhythm and off timing, and even there, you see Stafford make some incredible throws from all different, arm angles, platforms, no looks, the whole thing. But trying to disrupt the timing as much as you possibly can, whether that's through your front, or your coverage, of trying to, disrupt the timing of the passing game.
What are the keys that you say to your own players when you have a quarterback like Stafford who can manipulate a defense?
Yeah, just like they're trying to get to their spots, we got to get to our spots, and understand, where those spots are on the field that we've got to make sure we defend. Sometimes that's easier said than done, but I think that's probably the biggest part of it is trying not to let him manipulate you with his eyes and understanding the spots that you got to get to.
What was the biggest? We've really seen the flash last game, and he seems like he's been growing. What have you seen from him in terms of his progress and the impact that he's making?
Yeah, I think he continues to get better each and every week. I know I've said this before, but the thing that I like about that player is his toughness, his grittiness, his tenacity. He plays extremely hard on every single play, and I think that's what allows him to, be effective.
What was the biggest difference in the second half defensively on Saturday night that you can kind of carry over?
Yeah, I think we played more aggressively, and so we were better on first and second down. Struggled to run the ball, on first and second down. So you shut that down. You get them in more manageable third down situations. We got off the field on third down. So that was the biggest difference.
Kevin Byard was saying that Sean McVay can disguise what his intentions are. You can be in personnel to defend a run, and then he can pass out of that. What challenges do you see with an offensive mind like McVay?
Yeah, look, he does a great job. He does a great job with formations, motions, shifts, those types of things, personnel, trying to create some mismatches. I just in the run game, the things that they do schematically to create angles and get to the right spots and manipulate the defense, try to get the defense in the spots that they need them to create the angles. And then, they release guys into routes from unique positions. They'll insert a tight end or a wide receiver through the, B gap, and run them on vertical routes down the field. So those things create challenges.
Obviously, it was tough losing. It was tough losing TJ, obviously, to a season-ending injury. DeMarco came in earlier in the season and performed well. What's your confidence level that he can do the same thing?
Yeah, I'm very confident. He's stepped up and performed well for us when he's been called on. So, I thought what he was able to do last week, and going from every rep in practice playing a Sam linebacker position, and then that next thing you know, early on in the game, he's playing the mic and he's got the green dot and communicating to the defense. So I got a lot of confidence in his ability to go in and play well.
I'll take options to the best receiver. With a ton of respect. It's clearly going to take a great game plan execution to deal with them. But styles make fights. Do you think your corners, their size and their style, are more suited to play against those types of receivers than some of the small, twitchier receivers?
Yeah, that'd probably be fairly accurate. And yet, I think we all understand what a challenge these guys are going to be to try to defend. And look, not just the wide receivers. They got some exceptional tight ends that have varying skill sets, which make all the matchups challenging for us. So it's a well-rounded team, probably the best offense that we'll face all season long. They're playing at an extremely high level, and you're right, it's going to take an exceptional effort on our part to give ourselves a chance.
This gets a little bit close to game planning, so forgive me, but you can answer the best you can. How do you intend to, if, assuming they don't have any setbacks, CJ and Kyler on Sunday, how do you plan to deploy them or use them?
Yeah, both of them will have a role, and we'll see how the game plays out. But we got a plan in place for both those players to have a role, in all down and distance situations.
What do you think of Kyler and his return and playing him more in the second half? Was that just a function of the game, or was that the idea going into it?
Yeah, no, I thought I thought he was playing well. There was a little bit of a rotation going on in the back end, in that game, and yet when we got in the second half, felt like we were playing, much better and kind of rolled with the hot hand a little bit. So, I thought he did some good things, and there's still some things that, you see that, a guy that really hadn't practiced much, played much, had a lot of experience in the system with us this year. There's some things that we got to work on, we got to improve on. But for first time out in a while, I thought it was solid.
Along those lines, are there challenges that come with that? With Jalen probably not being back to his 100%. He even said he wouldn't be back to his full self this season, and maybe not knowing how close to 100% Kyler is either.
Yeah, look, I think those two guys are two of the guys that when we started the season we expected to be, kind of cornerstone pieces and some of the best players on our defense. And so, it's been challenging to try to, manipulate that a little bit. I do think each opportunity they get to go out there, I think I've seen improvement out of, each one of those. So, we'll continue to have a plan to, try to put the best group out there that we can that gives us a chance to have success.
To that effect, you talked about Tyreek Stevenson sort of maximizing his opportunities when he was to get them. Did you feel that he did that on?
Yeah, I thought he was better in the game. I really did. Obviously you get into any game, there's things that you got to work on and improve on. We went into that game with a plan to get him, some plays, and then again, like I said, second half of the game, we felt like we were playing well defensively and didn't want to really, change that up any. Thanks, guys.
After the 4th and 8 go to Rome, can you walk us through your emotions and everything you're just seeing as that's coming together?
Yeah, call the play that we felt, we felt good about the scheme on that down against the defense. didn't quite come to fruition as far as the coverage they played and what we wanted to happen. And we've talked about that from really the very beginning, is that quarterbacks are the erasers of, game plan errors, or when the defense gives us something that is a little bit different. Caleb did an excellent job of evading there and finding a way outside the pocket. He just has a special ability to be able to throw off platform, and when he gets out there, certainly it's all very exciting for us to watch. Him do something that, in a moment that he was born to go make that play, and for that to come to fruition in a game like that, in a moment like that, that was awesome. But really, the emotion is like we convert, and it's like, okay, next play, here we go.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead. You're totally good.
did you appreciate it when it happened, or, I mean, I imagine you're just on to the next play?
I don't think you really appreciate it in the moment until you kind of see it later. You see it on tape, and you're like, okay, wow, that was a. You really are able to look at the scoreboard. You look at the situation. You kind of take it all in. At the time, you're just the way to climb back into that game was just, hey, focus on the next play and try to maximize that. And that was really the mindset as we convert there, and then we just continue on into the drive.
I know you're asked every week about Colston and his development and his growth, because every week it seems like he's getting better and better, but how would you assess his game last weekend, and how do you think that he'll be able to carry that through?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is he's challenging to defend. He just gets better every week. He has really maintained the same type of temperament in the building, just the process. His growth is just a byproduct of that. I think the more that he plays, the more confidence he has. He's obviously he's far from a rookie now. This is going to be, I think this is our 22nd game or something like that. But he is, he's an NFL player. He's an NFL tight end, and he's proven that he can be really good in big moments.
On the game, conversion kind of embodies everything that went into you guys' decision to make him the first tight end off the board. I mean, you go with the heavy package and then spread him out to create a terrible mismatch for the defense.
Yeah, we felt really good about that play. That play's been up for a number of teams that we've played against, where we feel like we have a mismatch in him on a linebacker, him on a poor coverage player. We felt that way, and that's been something that we've been kind of waiting to call. But absolutely, I mean, there's a lot of different things that he does well. One of those things being, his change of direction and his ability to, have a big catch radius and be able to go get that ball in a clutch moment. And, that was really a byproduct of all of those things and the things that we saw on tape.
On the game deciding touchdown, we see Darnell Wright's on the left side. What about the design allows that to be so effective?
So we were in an unbalanced look. So first of all, the defense has to talk and communicate their front mechanics and their rules as far as how they're going to adjust to that. So that's a little bit of eye candy there. Secondly, we released Darnell out into the flat, really giving them the illusion that we're getting ready to throw this ball out there to Luther. And we really needed to fool one guy. DJ, did a great job. We've been talking about that, for a couple weeks, of him really threatening that outside player, getting him to trigger. And once he stepped up, I think we all knew it was going to be a touchdown if we put a good ball on him. And that was just a byproduct of us doing something that we felt, really comfortable with, and trying to give them some things to look at and mess with their eyes a little bit to get them to bite on something else.
You're calling that play on the first drive to Luther, the same pretty much play. Are you doing that knowing you're going to go back to that?
That was a little bit different. We had a wider bunch alignment, and we felt like as they were, going to handle us on third down, if they wanted to try to get up there and try to pressure us, we were going to be able to kick a ball out on the edge and try to go get a first down. And so they were a little bit different, but at the same point in time, if you're a corner in that game and you're watching us, it looks very similar to what it looked like earlier. And I think that has a big piece in why it works late in the game.
We've talked all year about, we've asked you all year about Caleb in the fourth quarter, about what it is about him. But what is it for the other 10 guys on the field to know we've done this before? I imagine that sort of confidence is just as important as quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've proved it over and over again. I think that I've said this before, but like, confidence is born of demonstrated ability. And so they've demonstrated to themselves that they can be in these tough moments and they can just keep swinging. And, we went into the half, we're down, 18 points, and it was really the same thing. Like, I'm upstairs, so I come down from the press box, and you don't know exactly what you're walking into, because you're like, okay, how are our guys going to be? And I walk down there, and the first thing is Case Keenum's walking by me. He's like, well, we've been here before, so here we go. Like, this is what we do. And the message really to those guys, it's not gonna take a superhuman effort. It's gonna take our best effort to be as clean as we can. We gotta focus on the process and just one play at a time. Don't look at the scoreboard, and we'll climb right back into this thing where we wanna be. And so that was really the mindset. But I think that our guys do a great job, regardless of the situation, they just focus on one play at a time and what's right in front of them.
Do you feel better going back up the elevator after halftime?
I felt a lot better just in that, you come down and you don't know how they're going to be, and they were the same as they've been all year. They were ready to go in that moment, and they were ready to control what they could control.
Coach, it took a while for Luke to earn the trust of you guys early on. Obviously, he's completely unlocked now and become one of the key contributors. Can you speak to what his progression has been specifically and where he gained you guys' trust to become one of the focal points of this offense now?
Yeah, there's definitely not one point where it's like, hey, this was the moment. It's been a process. He's done a great job, and Coach L has done a great job with him, kind of bringing him along, early in the process of him being here, introducing him to the offense. They've spent a ton of time, separately together, really as we've built on these game plans week to week, making sure that he's ready to go. He's a guy that, as you give him more, he takes advantage of those opportunities, and it makes you, want to give him more opportunities to show that off. But he just like Colston is a guy that has just been consistent in the way he's gone about his business, and we've loved having him as a huge part of the offense.
A couple more, please. Do you see any similarities between what McVay does on offense and what you guys do?
Yeah, I think our system is a mesh of a few different systems. A big part of that was Jared coming from LA going to Detroit, and us building out a lot of our passing game that way. And so there are a lot of similarities just in the way we both kind of conduct our offenses, the general philosophies behind it. But at the same point in time, we like to think we can morph and we can be unique week to week, just depending on what the defense is going to give us.
The other night to Colston, what's the coach's reaction to seeing that cat and mouse game play out exactly the way you wanted to?
Yeah, I just think anytime you plan something and you go out and you go execute it at a high level, it's really what we do it for. It's why we spend all this time in the off season. It's why we spend all this time, during the week game planning and to watch it come to life is really what it's all about.
How do you describe the trust that has been created in Colston for these huge moments?
Yeah, I think that it really is across the board. It's from the coaching staff, it's from the quarterback, it's from his teammates. He continues to go out and produce, and as that comes, more confidence comes in his ability to execute.
Do you see any similarities between the way that Stafford's been able to rally in the fourth quarter and the way that your guy does?
In some ways, yeah. I haven't studied him quite as much as I've studied, Caleb. I think Caleb is very comfortable in those moments. He's very comfortable in his ability to go out and execute. And, there's something in there intrinsically that is driving him, to really try to be the best and try to be, the best in those types of situations. But, I can speak to Caleb a lot better than I can speak to Matthew.
Thank you.
All right, morning. How's everyone?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing outstanding. Go ahead.
What's the level of confidence that you guys can have an edge on special teams in this game?
Every game is a different game. Every game is in its own entirety in itself. So we need to go out and play with technique, fundamentals, play discipline ball. If we do that, I like our chances. But we got to make sure we go out there and we execute, and that's the focus this week.
The Menace's struggles at Soldier Field kind of illustrate the challenges of kicking there at this time of year.
I mean, it's tough to kick in Soldier Field. Everyone knows that. I can't speak to anybody else's team. I can speak to our team, and I was proud of the way our field goal team went out there and executed. I thought they were a major factor in the game. I thought that Cairo, going out there, being focused along with the rest of the operation, kicking the only 50-yard plus field goal in Bears history in the playoffs. That's something to be proud of. So I'm just worrying about our guys and the look in their eye and their intent and their focus, and I want them to perform this week. So that's my focus.
It's pretty rare to see a playoff team make a coordinator switch so late in the season. When you're looking at the film this week, what have you noticed since they made that change a few weeks ago?
I see a unit, obviously, led by Ben Kawika, who I have a ton of respect for in this league. He's coordinating this league for a long time. He's an outstanding football coach. And I see guys out there fighting and playing. So it's going to be a challenge for us. It's just like any other week. So we got to make sure we're prepared and we're on our details. And we got a singular focus, and that's to win the field position battle. And that's what we're focused on.
Big were Duvernay's 2 punt returns late in that game, and what kind of a jolt does that provide the sideline when he does something like that?
Yeah, I think they were huge. I think it was huge. I mean, obviously we got points out of those both of those returns that he had. But anytime you can return the ball to the opponent's 35-yard line, you would think that you have points there, 3 points. So that was outstanding. Now what we're focused on is trying to get the ball in the end zone, because that's the next thing. So we're never going to be satisfied. We're trying to get the ball in the end zone. But it was an incredible play by Duvernay. It was incredible by the guys blocking. But those guys in that meeting room are a little ticked that they didn't get it in the end zone. So that's what I like.
What was most notable to you about Hicks's entire night on Saturday?
Hicks. I thought Hicks did an unbelievable job. Had a lot of big blocks in the return game. His effort to strain was outstanding. He continuously puts good stuff on tape. He's been one of our players of the game multiple times this year. The forced fumble that he had, obviously, Cairo has some really good dirty kicks in the game, and then he has some where they put Jacobs back there, and they put the All-Pro Nixon back there. So we was against their best. And for Elijah to get that ball out, now we want to recover it. But for Elijah to have the awareness, something we talked about all week, is punching at the ball, and for him to do it in that moment was outstanding. And that play wouldn't have been able to be made if Cairo didn't get in Jacobs' way. So it's a big ups to Cairo, because I seen defensive players that don't want to tackle Josh Jacobs. And Cairo stood in there like a man. And because of that, Jacobs had to veer off and slow down. And that what allowed, go back and look at that play and see what allowed Elijah to punch that ball out. Now, we just want to get it now. We need to recover it. So we need to recover those if they're on the ground.
Were you surprised Josh Blackwell didn't get more love on the All-Pro voting?
Yeah, I mean, I was, Coach, I was surprised by that. But hey, you know what? We all know that he's a good player. I think the city of Chicago appreciates Josh Blackwell. I know we do in our locker room, and it's only going to fuel his fire to make more plays. So I was shocked in that, though.
Did you notice the final point after attempt after DJ Moore touchdown? Packers had 10 guys on the field. Did you notice that, and were you surprised? Because it's a crucial extra point.
Yeah, I noticed it. Yeah, I noticed it, and we pointed it out to our guys. And it's impressive that you noticed it. Like, that's something that, again, I'm not worried about their team, but if our team did that, I would be livid at such a crucial moment in the ball game. But you know what? Cairo was unfazed. The unit was unfazed. We got a huge challenge this week, obviously, in Jared Verse and their field goal block team. They blocked 2. They blocked 1 for a touchdown that changed the momentum in the Atlanta game. So, last week is over with. And this week our focus is to win. We want to win, and we better be locked in on winning. And that's really over. So our focus is. But I did notice it though.
We talked a couple times about Josh and his comparisons to Sherry. Starting to get some kind of Brendan Ayanbadejo vibes from Daniel Hardy right now. How impressive has he been, and how important has he been to what you guys do as a unit?
Unbelievable competitor, elite competitor, leader, phenomenal find by a personnel department, just like Josh Blackwell was a phenomenal find. Those kids, Daniel Hardy has developed, Josh Blackwell has developed. Daniel Hardy's obviously playing against this former team this week, so he's got a different look in his eye this week. And I always tell him, you find out about players, you find out 2 things: when they go home or when they play against their former team. And I'm challenging them all in that way. When they play against their former team or when they go home, they got to show up.
This week that you've been sort of helpful over the last few months in heightening his confidence in what Cairo means to this team, and particularly kicking in this environment. How do you describe what kind of advantage he gives just being so locked into what this environment is that he kicks in all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cairo is a consummate pro, and Ben's dialed in on all of that stuff. I mean, he's been outstanding with that stuff. I can't say enough about the job that he's done and the job he allows us to do, our job, and trust us. So his faith in Cairo, my faith in Cairo is outstanding. Cairo's respected by his peers, you know, in this league. Everybody knows how good Cairo really is. I'm proud of his resilience. I'm proud of the way he battles, but I'm also proud that he's not satisfied because he knows the next kick is his most important kick. And it don't matter what kicks he made. All right, because if the next kick is not through the uprights, then we got an issue. So only thing we're worrying about is the next mission, and the next mission is the Rams, and we are excited about it. We can't wait to play. We can't wait to practice. So that's where our mindset is.
When you guys get close to field goal range, into field goal range, I know you guys are all tracking the yardage, what the kick might be. The play right before the 51-yarder goes backwards. I guess how impressive is it? Because that's not the first time that's happened this year too, where he stepped up and made a kick like right after a pretty significant negative play. I guess how impressive is that doesn't seem to affect him at all?
It's extremely impressive, and is something that most people don't understand. Because if you look at the percentages of kickers when they kick, when they go backwards, you would be shocked. It's mind-boggling. All right, how many misses happen. But the fact that he's been able to be steady is just another example. And it's all about having each other's back. So if we go backwards on offense, it doesn't matter. We got their back. And they have our back when they driving into field goal range. And all we want to do is have each other's back, all three phases, and get tighter and tighter as we try to do what our goal is. And we're a step closer, but we got to keep working.
I think that's the case. Is that just a psychological thing that if you move back a couple of yards, you have to reset and some guys don't reset quick enough, or what's?
It's been a lot of studies on it. Part of it is people think it's psychological. The other part of it is the percentages go down when you go back. So there are various different reasons and different variables. But the fact that, you know, what Coach mentioned and him being able to stay steadfast and still come through in those moments, that's happened a lot throughout his career. Not just this year, but throughout his career, he's been able to do that. So we're definitely fortunate to have him kicking for us.
It also mentioned earlier in the week your field goal block unit, the pressure that they were getting, even though you didn't get a block, just the amount of pressure they were creating may have impacted some of those misses in that game. How do you measure that when you don't actually get the block?
Well, they get just like you get pressures on the quarterback, like accredited for a pressure. We credit them for pressures. So Booker did an outstanding job. All right, he was the leader in that category for that unit that week. He did an outstanding job along with D-Jack and some of those guys forcing some of those kicks and trying to get into the kick plane. And kickers know when guys are around their legs, they know. And they can feel that pressure. So we want to apply as much pressure as we can. And in our room, we tell them we want to make them pay for points. You want points, you need to pay for them. And they got to pay for them with their protection.
What was pregame like Saturday night with the extreme conditions that blew in, and they were a little different than what the game conditions were going to be, but just trying to get the work you need done, the estimates you need done in a situation that was pretty extreme there.
You talking about when all the snow dropped?
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously unexpected. But we always expect the unexpected. So to us, it's bear weather. So what it was like, come on with it. This is awesome. All right? Whatever happens, let's deal with it and let's be ready to deal. So that was our mindset. Obviously, we expected flurries. We tracked that stuff. We expected it earlier and not right before the game. But we know everything's unpredictable at Soldier. And that's what's so great about kicking and playing there. And then the way the crowd was into that game, I never heard a place like that. I've been in the league 18 years. I never heard a place like that. So that was unbelievable.
Torrey didn't get any game reps last week. Obviously, it's deeper into January than he's kicked here before. Any concern that he can be at his best coming up on Sunday?
No, I mean, I like to keep it that way. I mean, I told him I know you love punting, and the one thing about Torrey is he was the happiest person, one of the happiest persons in the locker room. So unselfish. Some guys care about their stats and stuff like that. He was elated to win football games. Cause again, he is a extreme competitor. So, I don't have any concerns. Herb, it's a great question. We kicked outside yesterday. I expect him to be fully ready to go to help the football team if we need him.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you all.